Welcome to this edition of My 2 Cents Worth. I'm your host, Richard Bauer, and today's topic will be focusing on one of the fastest growing segments in the coin collecting market, China coins. In addition, I've brought you a very special guest, Mr. Nick Bruyer, the co-founder of First Federal Coin. He brings 35 years worth of coin collecting experience to our discussion today, along with being one of the early advocates. You might call him a prophet of the coming growing demand for China coins. Welcome, Nick. It's great to see you again. And as I shared earlier, I kind of described you as the prophet, the one who saw change in the marketplace as it relates to China coins. How did you know?
Well, of course, I didn't know. It's been a situation that's been evolving for decades. We've been involved in the China market for more than 20 years now. And at the time we became involved in the market, ownership of gold and silver was illegal in China. So we were a distributor of coins in the United States, Chinese coins in the United States, but little did we know that in 2004, the government of China would legalize gold and silver ownership, and that has created an explosion in the demand for Chinese coins.
So 2004 is the pivotal moment then, when up until that point, as I understand it, the Chinese people did not have the opportunity to purchase coins like the ones that we're describing here?
Absolutely. It was a similar situation in the United States. After the onset of the Great Depression, gold ownership was illegal in the United States. And when it was re-legalized in the mid-1970s, we've seen a huge boom in the value of collectible coins since then, especially American gold coins. And we've seen a similar situation occur in the China market. And once the Chinese public could begin to own the coins that their government were producing, the market changed entirely, and the numbers show that.
So basically, not just the world is purchasing Chinese coins since 2004, it's also the Chinese people?
Well, as you can imagine, that's the largest market for China coins is within China, and it's ironic that prior to 2004, the China Mint was producing coins for export purposes, going back to the early 1980s. And once the Chinese could own their own country's coins, not only did demand begin to escalate, but the availability of these coins began to rapidly diminish. And as the flow of the coins reversed, where in the past all of them were flowing out of China, now the vast bulk of them are retained within China. And it's harder and harder for us to even get quality China coins out of the country.
When we think of U.S. coins, we think of the Silver Eagle, we think of the St. Gaudens, the Morgans. What coins are we talking about when we're talking about Chinese coins?
Well, the world of China coins is really divided into two eras. There's the early era, which would be up until 1949 when the current government came into being, and then the modern era. And for the modern era, that really begins with the advent of the panda coins in the early 1980s. And the panda coins are the equivalent of the American Eagle series for us. The government issues those in silver and gold. They're minted in .999, which is 99.9% pure gold and silver. And what's even more exciting is that they decided when they began to issue these coins to change the designs each year. And that's created a lot of collector interest.
So it sounds like it's the panda coin that's the focus of the excitement in the China coin series. When did the panda coin begin?
Well, the panda series was introduced by the government in 1982. And again, what happened was 100% of the mintage of these coins was exported out of China. So if you were a Chinese collector, you couldn't own them. Consequently, the mintages were relatively small. For example, the first years of the silver pandas, the mintages were just 10,000 coins a year. Now let's fast forward to the era after 2004, when these coins were legalized in China. This year, the government will produce 8 million of the same coin.
One of the things that you've shared with us on past visits is the importance of mintages. Has there been a noticeable change in the number of mintages for each of the years of the Panda series?
Well, the production numbers, again, for many of the coins have just exploded. I mentioned earlier that in the Silver Panda, the early mintages were down in the 10,000 area, and now they're going into the millions. But with some of the higher denomination, larger coins, the mintages are still quite small. For the 5-ounce coins, for example, the mintages will run into a few thousand pieces. So the larger coins have very low mintages. Another way you can still get low mintage coins is in some of the special edition coins. For example, this 30th edition coin we talked about will be produced in a much smaller quantity than the regular Panda series. And they do issue an annual special prestige set, which is put out by a division of the China Mint called Great Wall Investment. And that is a special set of the gold Panda coins together with a medal that is produced by the China Mint exclusively for that set.
Nick, you're intriguing me with this conversation about the Prestige Panda set. Tell us a little bit more about that one.
This is actually one of the biggest secrets among all the modern China coins. I mentioned earlier that the flow of coins produced by the China Mint has gone from out of the country to into the country. But due to a distribution agreement that we've had for many, many years with the government, one of the sets that we can still obtain from the government is a set called the Prestige set. And this is the only gold set of Pandas that is currently being produced by the government. They discontinued the proof set quite a few years ago, but this set is distributed in an extremely limited number. We're talking about on approximately 1,000 sets altogether. And we have access to that set, and it's produced in special packaging with a certificate of authenticity, which is individually numbered by the government, and an exclusive medal that is produced each year by the government of China to be included in that set. This is something that would be extremely hard, if not impossible, to find within China, but we're still able to get that set.
Knowing the incredible detail that the China Mint puts in their coins, I suspect it's no different even for the presentation case. It's probably equally as beautiful.
No, it's absolutely spectacular. Something added to that is that for the first time in the last year or so, we've been able, through more negotiations direct with the government, to obtain first strike edition coins. And this is something new and new to China. And it's well established in the United States that getting the early released, earliest production coins from the dies. But through our connections with the government of China, we've been able to get certified coins that are the earliest production coins, and we have those available in the Prestige set as well as certain other issues from China. And that's exclusive. That's a world exclusive for us.
So you can't build one of these on your own?
No, you can't find them anywhere else.
So how hot is the China market, Nick?
Well, we've just seen demand for these coins explode in recent years, and that's reflected in the prices for these coins. Coins that we were originally distributing, for example, in the 1990s, such as the China Unicorn series, coins that we were selling back then for $750 to $1,000 are now selling for $10,000 to $15,000 to $20,000 per coin.
That's remarkable. I mean, in such a short period of time, is that reflective, again, of the incredible global demand?
Well, interesting, it's not just a China situation. It is global, but it's really reflective of the growing affluence of the Chinese public. Now, we all know what's going on with the China economy. They are today one of the biggest consumers of luxury goods in the world. For example, more Rolls Royces are sold in China than any other country in the world. So you have a rapidly growing affluent population. Number two, you've got the government encouraging not just legalizing, but encouraging gold and silver ownership. So the public now has access to these gold and silver coins, and they're buying them. And they're buying them at a fantastic rate. And that's why we see these mintages going up. It's getting harder and harder to find low mintage coins from China. But when we look at the price records that are being set, what we also see is that demand is truly global. One of the auction houses just recently stated that only about a third of the bidders that were bidding on record-breaking prices for China coins were actually Chinese. And the other two-thirds of the buyers were American and Europeans. So this is truly a global market.
Help us put this into perspective. Here in the United States, collectors have been around since about the 1800s, is that right?
Well, actually going back to our founding fathers.
All right, so let's go back to the very genesis point of our nation. And as the collecting grew, the prices grew. I'm curious, when did we hit our first $1 million coin here in the United States?
Well, actually the first $1 million coin was a gold coin that was sold in about 1978. And this was recorded in Time magazine. It was a unique United States gold coin.
All right, so we have a little context. How long before Chinese coins hit $1 million?
Well, $1 million gold coins have been popping up like weeds in China lately. In just the last year, 4 coins have hit the $1 million mark. And these are not necessarily vintage early classic coins. These are, 3 of those 4 coins were modern coins struck within the last 20 years that all hit the $1 million mark.
So the China coin market has compressed, reaching that $1 million point dramatically as compared to our own U.S. market. And it wasn't necessarily a vintage coin. It wasn't like a St. Gaudens or an early coinage from the colonial days, but modern issue coins?
Absolutely. In fact, there aren't any modern U.S. coins that are comparable that have hit the $1 million mark. But because the Chinese government has produced such limited quantities of many of these coins that were illegal for Chinese citizens to own, that flowed out to the United States and to Europe and elsewhere, they've created modern major rarities. So that's really heated up the market for China coins.
So I suspect then, in the same way that the affluent Chinese have been trying to reacquire some of their history, I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to also do the same for their coin history.
Well, there's no doubt that they are, and Americans who have been lucky enough to buy some of these issues from China over the years now are finding that there's a tremendous demand for these coins going back into China. In fact, the publisher of the standard reference work on panda coins in the United States, I read a quote by him recently. He said, "The giant sucking sound you hear is the flow of Chinese coins coming back into China." And there's this, really, that's where the market is today, and they're coming back into the country. So one of the things we've been recommending is if you can get your hands on any of the low mintage issues that are coming out, or any of the rarities within the series. And this can take many different forms. For example, the Prestige set of gold panda coins is produced in an extremely low number, only 1,000 sets for the entire world. And guess what? How many of those sets are sold within China? Virtually none. Virtually all of them still go out of the country. So we think that's a phenomenal opportunity. Another phenomenal opportunity is with the first strike coins, because it's such a young market in China that they really haven't caught on to the first strike certifications, which are well known to American collectors, but this is something that's really new in the China market. And we've been able to secure first strike coins direct from the China government. We think those will become very desirable in the years to come in the China market.
Nick, how important is grading in the China coin market?
Well, Richard, in past years, probably not very important. I think because it's such a very young market, most China collectors were mostly interested in just getting a coin of a particular year or design. But what we've seen more recently is that grading is becoming much more important, and we're seeing greater disparities in the prices of coins that have been graded by the independent grading services such as PCGS and NGC. And I strongly believe that that's going to be the future of the China coin market. We've worked hard to obtain coins in top condition for that reason for our customers. So we've managed to get coins that are graded as high as MS70, for example, into our customers' hands out of the China coin market. And these are coins that otherwise they wouldn't see. We're able to do that because as a distributor, we can get a quantity of coins and submit them to grading. Whereas if you just, as a collector, you bought a single coin or set, whether you were here or in China, the odds that you're going to get a top grade submitting that one coin are, it's a flip of the coin, so to speak. You just don't know what you're going to end up with. So we think grading is going to become a very important factor, and we're seeing that in the auction field. Coins that get the very top grades from NGC and PCGS are definitely bringing the top prices at auction. So we strongly recommend grading. On top of that is the authentication issue as well. We strongly urge collectors who are buying China coins to get certified coins because you don't want to end up buying a bargain coin out there that turns out to be a counterfeit. And there is counterfeiting out there in the China coin market. And people who go out there and bid in the marketplace trying to buy these coins that are uncertified, they may think they're getting a bargain, but if you get a coin that turns out not to be real, you're not getting a bargain, you're getting something that's going to end up as worthless. So that's why the vast majority of the coins we sell from China are independently certified.
You've often talked about the importance of legacy in coins. It sure does sound like the China coin series is preparing itself to be a great legacy coin. Is that true?
Well, we'll have to wait and see how the market develops, but it is expanding at a tremendous rate. And again, as we see more and more the Chinese economy becoming increasingly affluent, I think that this is phenomenal timing. When you realize that ownership of these gold and silver coins is just 8 years old, this is a market in its infancy. So this is a phenomenal time to be putting coins away, whether they're the pre-2004 issues, or if you're just starting out, get the new issues that come out. And again, while a few of the coins are being minted in large numbers, you can limit the production on those by getting either the sets, such as the Prestige Gold Panda set, which is a much more limited thing than just the general gold pandas, or you can get the first strike issues, such as in the silver, or you can get the graded coins, such as the perfect 70 graded or the near flawless 69 graded coins. And obviously those are much scarcer than the large volume average coin that comes out. Another area that still has surprisingly low mintages are in the oversized coins, whether they're the 5-ounce or larger size coins from China. Those mintages have been kept much smaller than, for example, the 1-ounce silver panda. So we think there's a lot of potential upside, and all of those coins that have hit the $1 million price mark were extremely limited production coins of these larger size pieces. So that's obviously an area that has tremendous interest from the Chinese collecting public.
You've shared so many details about the recent explosion in interest in China coins. As we try to bring this all together for our listeners and viewers, what are the key points that somebody who's interested in learning more or maybe even ready to make a purchase, what are the key points they should focus on as they relate to coins from the China market?
Well, I think first of all, the Panda is the bedrock of the China coin market. That's the most popular coin both in China and worldwide. So you can really start modestly. You can start with the Silver Panda series. But because of the low mintages in the pre-2004 era, all these series are challenging to put together. But I think the time to start collecting is now, because it's hard to imagine these coins getting more affordable or lower price in the future with the demand momentum that's going on with these series. So I think getting into the market, in whatever area you pick, sooner is better than later. And you can talk to almost anybody who has bought a China coin from our company in the last 20 years. They'll have a big smile on their face if they took the plunge and got in. I think the key thing to realize is it's not too late. And whether you want to get one of the new issues that is just coming out or start to build, backfill into the prior year issues, I think it's all a great area. And I really would have a hard time pointing to any coin in the China series that would be a bad coin to buy. I think there are so many opportunities, whether you go for gold or you go for silver. There are bimetallic coins that were struck in both silver and gold. You have the platinum series, and all these are great areas. I think so you can start with the pandas, or you can go to one of the sub-series. The second thing is to buy the highest quality you can possibly afford. So don't settle for mediocre quality. I think in the end, it's going to be like the U.S. market, where quality is king. They say in real estate that the first three most important factors are location, location, location. And I think just like that in the China market, the first three most important factors will be quality, quality, and quality.
Well, there you've heard it. I'd like to thank you again, Nick, for sitting down and visiting with us and sharing your expertise, your knowledge, as well as your prophetic vision as it relates to the China coin market. For those of you who are interested in learning more, and perhaps even saying, yes, I need to start my collection now of coins from the China market, be sure to reach out to your account manager. If you don't currently have an account manager, go ahead and dial the phone number you see at the bottom of the screen. On behalf of Nick and myself, I'd like to thank you for joining us during this edition of My 2 Cents Worth. I'm your host, Richard Bauer.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Nick.